the one, the only, Bencio.
Welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Table Enabled as we continue Orach Chaim Simon Reish Samach Dalet Hilchos Shabbos 264. Talk today about what you can use for a psila, what you can use for a wick, and what oil you can use. It's better to use oil than it is to use wax candles. I grew up, my mother using wax candles. She eventually converted to Haredi Judaism. She didn't convert, but she became, I guess, more yeshivish. All my siblings became a little more to the right. I led the way. I've since backtracked a little bit, but my mother and father definitely have gone a little more to the right, so they use oil now. Actually, they don't use oil. Do they use oil? No, they use they use actually still wax candles, but I don't know. I don't remember actually. My mother's listening to this. Tell me what you use. She uses these smaller wax candles she puts in. Maybe she'll put some oil in. I don't know. We'll see. It's best to use Shem and Zayis. Aleph, Ein Osim Psilo in Eresh Shabbos. Bein Ner She'al HaShulchan, Bein Ner She'Machon She'Madlik B'Bayis. This isn't halacha, has nothing to do with the halakha of Ner Shabbos. It's talking about you're lighting, Ner Shabbos definitely applies. Or any other candle you're lighting in your house for light. Midavar She'ar Ino Nechaz Bo Ela Nisrach Sivav HaShaleves Kahav Fetzes. You can't use for a wick something where it doesn't hold on to the fire so well, and the fire's jumping. Now the fire's jumping around. There's a chash. What? There's a chash either that you'll go out, right? Probably that I'll go out, or you'll extinguish it and light with a better psila or something like that, right? Usually when the fire is jumping around, it doesn't mean it's going to go out by itself. It wouldn't help to maneuver the psila at that point to make it, bend it one way or bend another way. You're using the psila that doesn't hold the fire so well. So therefore, it's more of a chash, you're going to extinguish it, which is Melcha D'Oraisa Mechabe, and then you're going to relight it, which could be Melcha D'Oraisa or with something else. So that's more severe, we'll learn, than using shemen. I'm going to explain this more to Leon, than using shemen, which the Chum said is not good. Kigon, semer v'seyar v'kayotzvem. You want to use wool or you want to use hair as your wicks. Don't try that. You have an old shaitel, you want to use it, you can't use it as a wick. Something the fire hangs onto it. If you go on pishtan nefutza, let's say you use flax, beged sheish, or linen, v'semer gefen, or cotton, the canvas, chayotzim, and canvas. Hagav im hidlik v'dvarim ha'asurim asher lishtamish la'oro. If you did do this, you violated what Chazal said. You can't use the fire, because if you get close to the fire, you might actually extinguish it and relight it. Let's say you have many candles in your house. One candle is lit with let's say, cotton wicks. Most people use cotton wicks. So it's lit with cotton wicks. Can you use the other 10 candles? Because if you have a problem reading, you'll go to the one that has a better fire. Some say you can rely on that. And you can even use the ore of the other ones. We're not worried you're going to extinguish it. Another heter is that if you can read, let's say you have enough light in the house, you have electricity, you can read without your neros. So therefore, you can go next to the candles. We're not afraid you're going to extinguish it because you don't need the candles. The Ramah says if there's a need, you can rely on two of the leniencies over here, and that you could use the Or HaNer. Firstly, if you don't need it, that I think, even if you're not in a Sorach Shabbos, you can rely on that. You're not using the candle. The other cool that you can use it when you have one Ner, which is good. That might only be the Sorach Shabbos, Sorach Mitzvah. Beis Karach Davar Shema Likin Bo Al Davar She'ema Likin Bo. Let's say you have something. You have some wool in the middle, and then you put some cotton around it. In this kavan lahavo sapsila to make it thicker, kadei lahosif ora. You want to make it jointed to make it a bigger fire. Aser. They were still worried that part of the fire is going to be attached to the wool and it's going to flicker. In this kavan lahaksho sapsila, kadei shel meres lo tishtal shel lamata mutter. If you just want to make it straight, so that it shouldn't bend over, that's butter. You can take and wrap something malikinbo, right? You can take some cotton and wrap around some rubber or straw in order to put it and to fit it in to the ashashis, those glass holders to put the candles in. Because over here, right? If your kavanah is to use both of them, lahavos, to make it thicker, so we're worried you're going to extinguish it because you want it to be a bigger fire, and it's not going to be such a big fire because part of it is wool or something or hair that doesn't light well. But if you're just doing it, right, the strength of it shouldn't fall over, so we're not worried. Gimel ein ma'alikin ner l'Shabbos el mishemen hanimshach achar hapsila. This is halacha about the oils. You have to use something which will be drawn well after the psila. If you use oils that are not good, the fire will dim. As opposed to sif aleph, it's going to be kofetzes. The fire is going to be jumping around. Here, the fire is going to be dim. It's going to almost go out. These are things which don't move. The shemen doesn't get absorbed by the psila, so therefore you can't use tar, a little bit shaiva, a little bit shemen asim and semer gefer. You're not supposed to use shaiva, which would be wax. Wax is allowed for the candle. It's not allowed for the oil to melt down shaiva. A little bit shemen asim and semer gefer. If you have cottonseed oil, not with chaylev is fats of the animals. Elya is the tail, right, which is basically melted down. You can't use oil which smells very bad. Itron is basically petrol or naphtha, which basically comes derived from gasoline, from petrol. It smells very bad. You're going to leave, and you're not going to enjoy Shabbos. We learned yesterday that the purpose of Ner Shabbos, the mitzvah of halakas Ner Shabbos, is that you should be able to stay and enjoy the ambiance if you're not going to leave. So this is only a problem by the Ner that you light for mitzvah halakas Ner Shabbos. A little bit tzri. You can't use any candle with tzri. When they show reicha nodeh, for good smelling cologne or perfume, because you'll decide, I want to use my perfume. A woman might decide, I want to use my perfume to make me smell good. She'll take all of it out. I don't think Mitchell takes part of it. If you take part of the oil out, that's not mechabe. Maybe that's marbe b'shur, and you're getting closer to mechabe. It's gram kiba. You have to take all the oil out, and then it'll go out by itself. So then you're extinguishing it directly. Dalit, I feel an asan ma'at shemen zayis b'shmanim elu. Even though the best thing is shemen zayis, you had bad shmanim, bad oils, cottonseed oil. You'll put a little shemen zayis in. She'enam nimshachem adam shachin ein ma'alikin b'hem, and it's going to help. It's going to help that the fire will light better. You can't do that. The tarobis does not help. Hey, let's say you have fats. The fats you melted down into a liquid, right? In Sif Gimel we're talking about where you didn't melt it down. The kirbe dagim, or you had the innards of fish which you melted down into a liquid. You can't use them. Why? Because the gzera you might use them when they're not melted down, which are puzzle. However, the ones that were melted down, the fat which was melted down, the innards of the fish were melted down, and then you put a little bit of shemen, that's a gzera l'gzera, because we're not making gzera l'gzera, so therefore you could use it. All other oils, we don't know if they're good or not. If you want to use, canola oil, I don't know, it doesn't say anything about canola oil. If you don't have shemen zayis, use some canola oil. Shemen zayis is considered the mitzvah mufkar because, right, we know that shemen zayis was used for the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. So if it's used for the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash, we know that's the best oil. Zayin krach zefet or shaiva or chelev saviv hapsila ma'alikim b'hem. Let's say you have a wick, right, and you took some tar or wax or fat, and you wrapped it. You didn't use it as oil. You wrapped it on the psila, madlikan baham. You can use it for a psila because these things will eventually get to the actual cotton in the middle and will light very well. This is an important halacha. When you light Ner Shabbos, you have to make sure that the fire touches most of the wick. You don't have to wait till it grabs onto most of the wick, because once it touches the wick, it'll probably catch on. But we learn from the halacha of the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash, you need a fire that's olemei leha, that will continue to burn. If you touch the fire to most of the wick coming out of the oil, it'll continuously burn. You won't have to relight it. You don't have to actually singe the wick before you use it. Basically, to cook it a little bit, to burn it a little bit before. The minhag is, even though you don't really need to do this, is to light it, singe it a little bit, so it'll light better. Most people are not knowing to do this. I'm not knowing to do this. Don't make yourself crazy. You shouldn't use rags as your wicks, even if they're burnt, because again, these things, they're not good psilos because the fire jumps, as we mentioned in Sif Aleph. Stay tuned. That's the conclusion of today's share. Stay tuned for Ian to lean on, where I talk about a fundamental difference between bad psilos and bad shmonim. One is a chashash del raisa, one is only a chashash del rabbanon, and I'll tell you based on that why there's certain nafkaminas and halacha between the two. Ian to lean on coming up next.